Fur trading in the Great Lakes region performed one function that otherwise eluded Western settlers. It was a magnet for movement of certain disrupted Indian populations in the east. The French held sway at least until after the American Rebellion. The Wisconsin Green Bay area, like Kaskasia in Illinois Upper Mississippi country, gave Native Americans the enlarged chance to continue their inherent hunting and trading practices without immediate settler threats. Ostler mentions a host of tribes migrating to or at least claiming territory there. Ottawas, Ojibwes, Foxes, or in French the Reynards, Cree, Assiniboines, Menominees, Ho-Chunks, Sauks, Miami, Potawatomis, Mascoutens, Kickapoos, and Shawnee. Early on, the, quote, barbarous Iroquois, unquote, helped out by widely massacring the Shawnee and other, quote, womanish natives. A Sauk war chief, Black Hawk, championed what was most likely the last violent Indian uprising in the old Northwest Territory. He returned one day from his winter hunt to find several white men, squatters, inhabiting some of the Indian lodges in his village, Saukenuk. Worse, the U.S. government decided that all Indians, Sac and Fox and others, needed to be moved from Illinois. Black Hawk's own property was put up for sale. Several tragedies ensued as Black Hawk tried to resist by leading relatively modest bands of followers in reverse, back across the Mississippi, west to east, quote, to plant his fields, unquote. His protest movements were cut short by Brigadier General Henry Atkinson, with more than 2,000 fighters, including Colonel Zachary Taylor, Lieutenant Jefferson Davis, Captain Abraham Lincoln, and Nat Boone, Daniel's son. Members of a truce party sent by Black Hawk were killed, leading to the Battle of Stillman's Run. Part of Illinois and southern Wisconsin became a battleground, although Black Hawk foiled every attempt of his pursuers to actually find him. The Bad Axe River battle ended for good the attempt of the Sac Fox to regain their Illinois farmland, featuring an unceremonious massacre including women and children. These squaws and children found themselves swimming into the ambush of Lakota Indian sympathizers planted by the Americans on the opposite riverbank. Most swimmers were seized and bludgeoned to death on the shoreline. Black Hawk and a small warrior party, probably less than 50, escaped and moved north into the country of the Winnebago or Ho-Chunk tribe. However, these Indian leaders feared government reprisals and so turned him over to the authorities. From prison, he advocated for Indian rights as citizens of the new country, but died discredited and disenfranchised. He had visited Washington, D.C. at the invitation of President Jackson, but all the while was effectively in the legal custody of Kickapoos, a rival chief friendly to the Americans. was Keokuk who became a wealthy landowner in Kansas. Forced peace in the East between natives remaining and pioneers multiplying injected a new vision of the American destiny among the younger generation. Howell's account of the native history of Ohio, I think, adequately summed the settler attitudes and opinions of their Indian antagonists up to and after the War of 1812. I quote,
"The savages themselves had their harmless pleasures, and their wild life was so free that those who once knew it did not willingly forsake it. They were not bad-hearted so much as wrong-headed, and they were mostly what they were, because they knew no better. More than once, we read how the lurking hunter heard them joking and laughing when off their guard in the wood. And in their towns, on the Miami or the Muskingum or the Sandusky, they had their own games and feasts and merrymakings. Much that was beautiful and kindly and noble was possible to them. But they belonged to the past, and the white men belonged to the future. And the war between the two races had to be. And it was fated that we must found our homes upon their graves."